Welcome to John Gets Games. Today I'll be teaching you how to play Birds of a Feather, which is a hand drafting game all about bird watching. Now this video is a little unusual because I actually filmed it 7 years ago to go along with the original Kickstarter campaign. There is a new version of this game coming out, which is why I decided to re-release this video, and on top of that there are some changes with this version. There's updated graphics design as well as a strategic mode for 2 or 3 players, specifically for people who are familiar with the game and want a deeper version of it, but I won't be describing how that works in this video. On top of that, there is also a native scoring app in iOS, Android, as well as on the web, and they also updated the box cover. Now, I do want you to keep in mind that this was filmed a long time ago, so my camera was nowhere near as good, but it still does a great job of teaching you how to play the game quickly, and on that note, let's jump into it.
The first thing that I'd like to note is that this is a prototype copy of the game where not all of the final artwork is actually in these cards. Alright, so let's see how we play. To set up the game, each player gets a number of cards depending on the overall number of players in the game. For instance, in a 4-player game, I would receive 15 cards. At this point, each player is going to pass a number of cards from their hand to the player on the left, also depending on the overall number of players in the game. For instance, in a 4-player game, I would pass 3 of these cards. So I've chosen the 3 cards to pass, I put them to the person on my left, and then I grab the 3 cards that were given to me by the player on the right. Now we're ready to start playing the game. Each player simultaneously chooses 1 card from their hand. They're going to take it and put it face down on the table in front of them. It's important to note that in 3- and 2-player games, there's going to be 1 or 2 dummy players. The way these players act is very simple. Once you and your real opponents have chosen a card, then the dummy players will randomly take a card off the top of their decks, which will be the same size as everybody's starting hand. It's also important to note that when you pass cards from your hand, you pass it to the next available real person, and you never trade cards with the dummy players. Once all players have chosen a bird, we flip them all over. At this point, each player is going to score each bird that they see. Now you always see the bird that you played, but you also see every bird in the same habitat to the one that you just played. For instance, I would see this bird here and this bird here. This also means that the second player would see this bird and my bird as well. The third player would only see their bird, and the fourth player would only see their bird. When it comes to marking the birds that you've seen, there are 2 different ways to do it. The first is my preferred, and that is using a web app and any tablet or smartphone to indicate. So for instance, I see the orange single feather, so I press that, and I see the orange egg, so I press that right there, and this automatically calculates my score. The other way to log the birds that you've seen comes from the score pads which come in the game. In this instance, I would mark down the egg and the single feather just like that. Once everybody's scored, we move into the second turn. At this point, everybody chooses another single card from their hand, and they put it down on the table simultaneously, but you put it so that you still show the last card that was played in the previous round. Once all players have chosen, we once again flip all of the cards over. The reason we kept the birds from the previous round is because from the second turn on, in addition to seeing the card that you played and any birds in the same habitat as the ones that are just played, you also see every bird from that habitat from the previous round. So for instance, I would get to see this bird here. So in this case, I would mark the card that I played in addition to the card from the previous round that player 4 played, but you don't get any extra points for seeing a bird that you already have, so this extra egg doesn't actually do anything for me. You've probably noticed these icons in the top left, and they match the scoring sheet as well. The icons just show you the different types of birds in each habitat, but these little pips at the top show you how many of that card are in the deck. So there are 3 of each egg, 2 of each single, double, and triple feather, and then 1 of each wing, raptor, and then rare. You might have also noticed the stars underneath each of these birds. This is the number of victory points you get at the end of the game for seeing that bird. So you might have noticed that these eggs don't actually get you any stars. This is because you get 3 bonus points for seeing every single bird in a habitat, so you're going to have to see that egg in order to get that 3-point bonus. Only one of these card types behaves mechanically different than the rest versus its rarity and its victory points, and that is the raptor card, which I'll explain right now. I'm going to show you that last turn. However, instead of playing that wetlands card, I'm going to play this orange raptor instead. As soon as the raptor card is flipped over, all birds from that habitat from the previous round immediately get scared away. So this desert raptor would make both of these desert birds fly away in fear. However, this desert raptor does nothing to this desert card over here beyond this player no longer being able to see these 2 birds. Play is going to continue until each player is down to 2 cards. At that point, they choose one of those cards and nobody will be playing the final card in their hand. Once everybody's played and marked their final bird, we add up all of our points to see who wins. The web app is really nice. It adds up all the numbers for you and gives you your score, but you can also use these score sheets to add it up yourself and see who the winner is.
As always, I'd like to thank everyone who's been supporting this channel, including these producer-level Patreon supporters. If you too would like to directly support the channel and the creation of future videos like this one, then please go to johngetsgames.com/support. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button for it down below, as well as the subscribe button for the channel. Thanks for watching.